So at the beginning, you had various band names. Can you remember why you settled on Editors in the end?
Well, the majority we didn't think were quite right. So The Pride, Snowfield, both just didn't have the same resonance that we wanted, I guess. So it was the stamp that we wanted. And so it was basically when we signed a record deal, we decided that's what we'd be called. Then onwards we go.
Do you remember what kind of music did you bond over at the beginning?
We were all into bands like Elbow. We were a big indie stroke rock stroke. I don't know, we all went to Glastonbury together at university. So anything that was on there, that type of vibe was our thing. And we liked guitar music and we saw some amazing bands together. And it was just friends wanting to be in a band.
And, I mean, you've evolved so much over the years. I've seen you live for the last 12 years or so, and you started, obviously, with the guitar band thing, and then you added electronica as you went on. But it seems to me like it's sort of a no-win situation for you in terms of fans going, but we want all the guitars back. And then if you don't evolve and change, then you get criticism as well. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think we always think of ourselves as a guitar band. We always play with guitars on stage, so whenever anybody sees us, it's, I guess more and more Tom has ventured off into just singing rather than playing his guitar. But the rest of us all, when we work on something that's maybe a little bit more electronic in the studio, when we go to actually put it to a band, we always like to have it filled out with real instruments as well, show that the songs work. And, we could easily go back to making a guitar record again for the next album. We might do that.
The new album that came out now, the Blank Mass Sessions.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the timeline? Because I think producer Ben Power, he originally did a mix and then you changed it, and now are these the Blank Mass Sessions part of that original mix?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so the original time that he sent them without Leo's influence. So it's just his work on top of our rough demos that we did in Oxford. So this is exactly how he sent them to us back before we finished the versions that you hear on the album. We just wanted people to hear them because we thought it was quite an interesting take.
And how does Barricades fit in then? Was that composed specifically for the Blank Mass Sessions album?
No, it almost went on the album, pretty much like that, because that was the song that he worked first on, and it came back, and it's a funny one, because obviously we were proud of it, but also it's like, because it's so that way, the Blank Mass version, it didn't quite fit with trying to fit the band back in, so that's why it's on its own, but we're very proud of that song. We're playing it tonight.
And how does Frankenstein fit in the whole thing? Is that new for a release that's coming out later this year?
Yeah, there's things going on that we can't quite reveal yet. But yeah, it was more of a standalone single, but yeah, there'll be announcements before the end of the year.
And talk me through the festival sets that you're doing. Do you have a different approach to festivals than your own headline shows? How do you approach that, performance-wise?
Yeah, well, I think you just try and keep the energy up, that people be at a festival and will get tired. So, you want to make it enjoyable for them, especially like at night. It's when people are partying. So if we're the party band, we've got to try and keep the energy up, not play too much slow stuff. Although sometimes it can be, magical when you play like a slow song like No Harm and the audience stops still and they appreciate it. But sometimes that doesn't work at festivals. So yeah, it gets a bit tricky.
And what do you enjoy the most when you're up on stage, be it at a festival or at your own concerts?
Oh, just fans. The people in the audience are the concert. It's not a concert without them. So a band can go up on stage and play to nobody, and it's not really a gig, is it? So it's important when we go up there just to see reactions. Obviously, some people really might not know us. We still get that. So maybe a new generation, like a younger crowd, they might not have heard of us. So we try and make them aware of us, try and get them on board. Or maybe it's people that have seen us many, many times and you see them singing the words back, and that's, again, it's just a nice feeling.
And you've played a lot of songs from Violence, obviously, over the last year. You've been touring a lot. What's been maybe the most surprising track that you've played in terms of audience reaction or in terms of how you've enjoyed playing it? Yeah,
I think Violence, the actual song, has transitioned really well from the record and become like a live favourite for people, and I'm glad, because that was like a turning point in where the record was going and a song that we'd worked on for a long time, and it shifted and became this totally different thing from the demo. So I'm glad that one's translated up for gigs as well.
Because you're doing so much touring, how do you manage it physically Or in terms of day and night, are you a night owl by nature or by necessity?
Only when you have to be. I think that we tend to have like pretty normal hours, and we just look after ourselves quite well now. And yeah, we went in the river today in Bern for a little float down, like many of the locals were doing, and it felt brilliant. And then it's nice to come up a mountain and play a show. This is our last weekend, so we've got one more show supporting The Cure in Bucharest, and that's done for a little while. So be a little time before we do another show. So we're just enjoying it.
You released quite a few of the tracks off Violence as singles, but what album track would you like people to hear?
I guess Violence, if they haven't heard it, go for that one. I think it's the pinpoint. So that track, it wasn't a single, so that one.
Russell, thanks so much for your time and your music.
Okay, cheers. Thanks very much.